It's really a privilege to be a part of this August gathering and engage with the distinguished thought leaders like yourselves on the big rethink. Uh, in any economy, core financial management, in particular banking, plays a key role for sustainable economic development. In Pakistan, we stand at this critical juncture where the Federal Sharia Court decision that all banks and government borrowings have to move towards Islamic mode of financing. So this is an area which is under implementation, has been a priority of both the central bank and the government of Pakistan. Uh, so it is true that Islamic banking is based on the religious belief of Muslims that interest is prohibited in Islam. Interest in simple terms is defined as monetary benefit arising out of a financial transaction where there is a predetermined rate and guaranteed return without risk taking in the underlying business activity. And the Quran really, if you talk about a predominantly Muslim country where people are following the Islamic principles, so Quran clearly prohibits interest. So there is an opportunity, there is a market, there is a customer preference in terms of Islamic banking. So while the religious angle is there, however, it needs to be understood very clearly that Islamic banking is a comprehensive alternative financial management system. So it's no longer just sort of something which is religious based only. People, scholars all across the world, regulatory bodies, they have worked on it, and they have sort of come up with the required frameworks for it to be implemented as a complete alternate financial system. So at its core, Islamic banking seeks to align financial activities with market-based business activities based on adherence to globally preferred ethical and moral principles of fairness, transparency, and social responsibility. So that's really the ethical side of it. On which this entire thing is based. It clearly prohibits interest and promotes risk sharing. That's the major difference. Asset backing and avoidance of speculative transactions through dealings in real and actual business related activities, including trade, buying and selling, and leasing, covering the entire spectrum of financial products. And that's very important, from consumer financing to sophisticated project financing and capital markets. So a lot of work has gone into Islamic financing all across the globe, in Pakistan, in Middle East, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, and all across the world. So the risk management process generally, if we talk about what the world is passing through, so on a relatively sort of micro level, the risk management process is far more robust under Islamic banking, where we talked about the SME financing. So because your engagement is actually into the business, it's actually asset backed, it's actually participation in the business. So your understanding, generally speaking, on the business side is much more as compared to the conventional banking. So if we see on a global basis, while it is still on the takeoff mode, but around 4 trillion is the Islamic finance that is there in the market, out of which the Islamic banking is about 50%, about 2 trillion. In terms of geographies, Gulf Cooperation Council GCC member countries are about 52% of the market share, while Southeast Asia stands at 23.5%, and non-GCC Middle East countries, which include Pakistan as well, is about 17.4%. So it has systemically grown as a proper banking system, alternate financial system in 15 geographies across the world. So It is clearly being under sort of transition mode, but it is being accepted as an alternate financial system, which is available and accepted by many multilateral agencies as well, such as the World Bank and the IMF. So there are organizations like the Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions, commonly known as IOP, and Islamic Financial Services Board, which are playing a very important role in standardizing Sharia accounting and governance principles. And these bodies are also interacting with international institutions like IFRS 9 and IFRS and even global regulators to strengthen the governance in the industry. So the industry, I mean, just to comfort everybody, that the industry is being managed by very highly qualified, well-trained, experienced professionals and Sharia scholars. I mean, in Pakistan, we are blessed to have a legend like Mufti Taqi Usmani Saab, who is actually leading it on a global front. As a part of the rethink exercise for Pakistan's financial sector transformation to Islamic, I feel that it is actually a very solid business opportunity as well. We've seen it. The banks can tap on the huge liquidity that exists in the market and use it as a means of financial inclusion as well. Locally, around 70% of Pakistan's population has no banking account into formal banking system. So according to the State Bank research, 98% of the non-banking population is believed in prohibition of interest. So there is a huge opportunity. This can obviously be dovetailed with the digital side in terms of propagating it, but this could certainly trigger the financial inclusion part. So the enormity and impact of transformation of banking system in Pakistan would require all the stakeholders to carefully plan for a responsible and smooth transformation towards institutionalized Islamic financial system in Pakistan. We must acknowledge over here that the foundation of the Islamic banking was laid by none other than Dr. Ishrat Saab, which is now being strongly pursued by both the Ministry of Finance and the State Bank of Pakistan. Well, if we talk specifically about Faisal Bank, so we at Faisal Bank are privileged really to have successfully completed the world's largest transformation of a conventional to an Islamic bank, a journey which was spread over almost last 6-7 years and completed at year end 2022. We emerged as the second largest Islamic bank in the country with the highest Sharia rating. Currently, we have the widest range of Islamic products and have a growing network of about 700 branches. With no available model before us, it required a big rethink on our part on how to smoothly execute the journey, which entailed faith and belief, somebody said that, in Almighty, but it also involved comprehensive planning, committed leadership, seamless execution. So, you know, it entailed vision, commitment and strategic guidance by the board, strong regulatory support, guidance by Sharia scholars, and we must thank the Sharia scholars, especially Mufti Taqi Usmani Saab, who really supported us on this, and Mizan Bank. There is a very, very strong element in the Islamic banking industry where really the bigger picture is kept into mind in terms of propagation of Islamic banking. So despite being a competition, we got great help from Mr. Irfan Siddiqui, who was the CEO of who is the CEO of Islamic Mizan Islamic Bank. So we were able to create history, that is for sure. But I think the major achievement is that now the industry in Pakistan and even on a global basis has has been able to get a model which we have been sharing with the central bank, and we want to sort of really share it across the globe, and many banks across the world have approached us who want to convert into Islamic Bank. So how was it done? Very briefly, so there was obviously a clear vision, direction, commitment of the majority shareholders in the board. Nothing works without obviously the majority shareholders being committed to this. But I think they need to be comforted that there is a positive commercial consideration in the financial sector if you convert to Islamic, because there is a demand out there, there's a pull out there, and when we converted, many customers, I mean almost 1.5 million customers, there was no disruption. Customers actually welcomed it. So I think that needs to be comforted to the industry in general and to the boards as well. One thing which I would like to point out over here is that there is obviously a lack of understanding on the Islamic banking side. So it's very important that at the senior level, if the industry wants to convert to Islamic, at the senior level, at the board level, people need to understand what is this all about and how a comprehensive alternate financial system can be made available. So I mean, the entire thing was initiated based on a detailed business transformation plan, because I mean we didn't have any idea what to do, how to do. So global experts were assembled, and we did come up with a business transformation plan, which entailed many sort of planning and execution activities in detail. So that plan was really the Bible, which was implemented in a phased ways. You know, one thing which the organizations are very scared of is the value destruction in monetary terms. So it's very important that whenever we convert, or whenever any organizations is under a transformation stage, may it be Islamic banking, there has to be minimization of disruption. The value has to be conserved for all the stakeholders, the investors, the customers, sponsors, while maintaining the regulatory compliance. So employee care, I mean transforming the mindset of about 8,000 employees who've been doing conventional banking. How do you do that? So there was obviously a religious angle to this, and while people understood that this is something which is good for them, it is going to make a difference in terms of their own careers. It's a growing industry. It's a knowledge that need to acquire, and they need, and if they can sort of truly believe that this is the right thing to do, then things obviously became a lot easier for the entire thing. So governance model was looked at. The initial focus really was to get yourself prepared. So policies, procedures, products, these were the first 3 years were spent on this. Then in phase 2, the actual conversion started. So then human mindset conversion, obviously from an employee perspective, made a major role. And these were the employees who actually were able to link to the customers as well. And the customers actually welcomed this as an opportunity to sort of transform themselves, I mean, on the religious basis as well, and even otherwise as an alternate financial system made available for them. So what do we need to do over here in terms of the future steps? So there is obviously there is this entire economy, the financial sector, that we need to take care of. So there is absolutely a big rethink that is required, and that rethink to a large extent is being pursued by the central bank. So I think that's a very heartening to know what Dr. Ishrat started many decades ago, at least 2 decades ago almost. So that is being being addressed, being implemented in. But there is a long journey to go in terms of the effective implementation. So what does the industry need to do really in terms of this transformation? First of all, I think there has to be an increased awareness. This increased awareness will translate into corresponding demand increase by the customers. The principles of Islamic banking, it's just not on religious basis, but it is actually different from conventional banking. That needs to be explained to the employee base, to the market as well. Availability of equivalent Islamic products, these are there, but I mean, whenever you want to convert, you have to make it available in a particular financial institution. Islamic banking resource base, very, very important. Okay, it's a complete different ball game in terms of the mechanics. Forget about the religious side of it. So people need to really understand that how do they cover the operational risk, how do they cover the credit risk, how do they engage with the customers, what do they offer. So that's extremely important. So training and reskilling, NABAF, other educational institutions, they have to play a role. Universities have to play a role. Islamic banking courses need to be there in universities. Sharing of ideas, I mean, it's for the industry's growth, the market leaders have to share ideas. For us, I mean, as Faisal Bank, we are open. Whatever help is required in the industry, whoever needs it, absolutely we are available. The government has to do some steps, take some steps. Government sukuks have to be there. Tax authorities have to be aligned. Potential social uplift agenda, I mean, it's at the heart of Islamic banking that needs to be propagated, that needs to be built up further. Technological advancement. So readily, if we talk about the digital solutions, because of Islamic banking being principally different from conventional banking, so the solutions are not readily available. So concurrently, if you want to use it for financial inclusion, the digital solutions have to be made available, especially on the lending side. And you know, in terms of facilitating the global capital markets, we have to align ourselves and we have to think about that what is happening on the global basis. While the standardization is there, but the implementation part in our country may require some additional focus. I thank you all for this opportunity, and I would just like Dr. Ishrat, who has been the pioneer of this thing over here, to maybe take 2 minutes and express his views on it. Okay. Thank you very much.